What a day. Today has been quite the day, and I don't even know where to start. Do you ever just have one of those days that you're just like, how did I even survive today? I don't know. I feel so bad because I've been abandoning this boy all weekend, and I'm sure he doesn't feel good about it. Nobody likes to be abandoned. But this poor baby, he's like, Mommy, where have you been? So I'm going to take at least a good chunk of my time today to devote to my baby boy because he deserves it and I feel really bad. This like internal guilt of leaving him at home, it really gets to me. It really gets me. I have one of those like nanny cams where I watch him all the time. And when I just watch him sulking, sitting on my pillow because it's got my scent, it just breaks my heart. You guys know what I mean? It just breaks my heart to see your baby just sulking, wishing you come home. And dogs have no concept of time, so you could be gone for 2 minutes and they think you've been gone for 2 years. To them, anytime you leave is just disastrous, right? It's completely traumatic for them. And I can't imagine feeling that way about someone because they're so dependent. This little boy is so dependent on me. It's not like he has the ability to go out and meet up with friends for coffee when he wants to. He can't even open the door. He's tried. Oh yeah, he's scratched my door many times. He can reach a doorknob, but he can't actually physically turn the knob. So it's like prison, being here. I'm so sorry, baby. I was talking to a good friend this weekend, my friend Steve, who says he's going to watch this stream, but I'm streaming way later than I thought I would be, so maybe he wasn't able to stay up for this. But he said, you always seem very positive, very happy, upbeat. Do you ever have moments of sadness and weakness? And I said, of course I do. Everybody does. I'm a human being. And when I was in a long-term-ish relationship for a year and a half, and when that ended in March, there was like a good chunk of time between then to now, months later, of feeling like I'm myself again. But he said, well, I didn't exactly see you go through any sort of sadness or depression or any sort of transition. You just seem like you were still living life to the fullest. It's all about this idea of perception. And so I think that's going to be the theme of this stream is perception. The perception that you give to other people and then the perception you have of other people. So I think a lot of the times because of social media and internet, you have this idea of other people as having these really idealized lives where they never get sad, they're always happy-go-lucky, they live some glamorous life where they're always traveling or eating at some fancy restaurant, they own the cutest clothes, and they have really cute doggies. Okay, so it's true. I think if we were to curate our lives for other people to see, those are the moments we want people to see. But those are just moments. They're not reality. And it could be a moment, you've all seen this, where you see someone taking an Instagram photo and 2 minutes leading up to that, they looked pissed and unhappy. And all of a sudden they want to post something on Instagram and they look like they're having a ball. One of the guests that we had on our podcast, so I host the Dateable podcast, which is all about dating, obviously. And we had a guest on our show who's this guy who just looks like he has basically figured out life. He's always traveling. He has an amazing job. He's always happy. He has many friends. And he comes off like someone you would envy. He has one of those social media lives. And he came on our show and he said, honestly, I do have a pretty good life. I I have a lot of flexibility in what I do and I get to meet interesting people, but I can't seem to find a girlfriend. And it has nothing to do with like what he looks like or how he comes off, because he's very extroverted, he's very charismatic. But we kind of like snooped around his social media, and the root of why it was so hard for him to date was because the way he is perceived by many people is that other people feel like he's unattainable, that he is inaccessible, that he may be too cool for everybody else because he is always traveling and you don't ever know where he is, or he's always meeting interesting people. He knows lots of people. So it makes women feel like he's unachievable. And that's why he had a really hard time dating, because he gave off the perception that he didn't need to be in a relationship, where he wasn't looking for relationships. He just gave off a perception that he was kind of like this happy-go-lucky party animal who didn't need any of that. And so it's interesting to hear that, because for him, he was like, oh, I thought I was just showing people the best moments of my life. I didn't realize that's how I was being perceived. So how you are being perceived by others may be totally different than how you perceive yourself. And it might be even different than what you think you're putting out there. I think it's always a good idea to get someone else's opinion about how they perceive you. And it doesn't mean that you need to change yourself or change the way you post on social media, but it's always good to just have a little check-in of how other people perceive you. We did a podcast recording today, and someone said, we interviewed this guy who wrote a book called The Middle-Aged Average Guy Dating. And he talks about how he's this like 5'7", bald, kind of average looking guy who had a really hard time dating, and how he was able to turn it around. But when we got to the core of what was really happening, it really didn't have anything to do with how he looked or what he did or how much money he had. It was about perception. When you feel average, when you feel like you don't deserve attention, when you feel like you can't stand out amongst the other people in the room, you give off that perception. Other people will perceive you as the average Joe. So what we kind of discussed in this recording was, well, do you think being the average Joe, is that a static feeling? Do you just, if you're an average Joe, you're just an average Joe for life? Or is it more dynamic? It's based on like how you're feeling that day. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Hi. Hi, everyone. Oh, geez. It's whatever you feel you are giving off that energy, and that's how you may be perceived. So if you feel average, if you feel like you don't deserve the attention, if you feel like you don't need to be a standout, then that's the vibe you're giving off, and that's exactly how people will perceive you. But it's a mindset. It really is a mindset. We tend to blame our shortcomings for the things that we don't get. So the things I hear most are, tall men have it so easy. And because I'm not a tall guy, I can't get the woman of my dreams. Well, that's not actually the case. I know a ton of tall men who have a hard time dating too. Or I hear a lot of times, if I had money, then I'd be able to get whoever I want. But because I don't have money, it's harder. Well, I also know a ton of people with money who have a hard time dating too. Sorry. Emojis, you're getting your hair in mommy's throat. It's that mindset. Once you think you're something, then you become that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what do you do when you dig yourself into that hole? Well, one, I always believe in validating your feelings first. A lot of times what we tend to do is we ignore our feelings and what we're going through and avoid, there's a lot of avoidance issues. So then we tend to say stuff like, no, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I'm just going to get over it. So when you start avoiding those feelings, you're actually also saying you're not worthy of your own attention. You're not worthy of your own love. And then where do you go from there? If you can't even convince yourself that you're worthy, then who can you really convince, right? So the first thing you must do is validate your feelings. Know that this is your reality, even if it doesn't make any sense at all. Sometimes our emotions are not logical. We are emotional beings. And so if you feel a certain way, the first thing you must always do is to validate it and say, I feel this way. The second thing you must do is see times of challenge as a way to evolve farther. When you put out to the universe, and I'm going to get very philosophical here, but it works. When you put out to the universe what you're seeking, the universe delivers every freaking time. Every time. My friend Hai Ching and I think she's probably asleep by now, but she and I used to have these talks with the universe sessions where we go out on a clear night and we talk to the universe. And it's not about just empty demands or wishes. It's more about, this is what I'm seeking. I'm seeking clarity. I'm seeking a change. I'm seeking some sort of direction. Okay? And so you tell the universe that, you put that out there, and then you say, this is what I'm ready for. If you feel that feeling of I'm not worthy, if you feel like you're not at your best, you're not feeling fulfilled, that's a great opportunity for change. And that's a great opportunity to feel fear. I can tell you guys from personal experience, it's not easy. You have to be patient, but you have to put it out into the universe, because when you put it out into the universe delivers every time. Okay? I can promise you the universe delivers every time. And when the universe delivers, it's going to hit you in the face, and you're going to have to either react to it or ignore it. And if you ignore it, the universe will think, okay, maybe this person's not actually ready for what they put out there. But if it hits you in the face and you're like, just go with it, the possibilities are endless. For some reason, when you're in a mindset of feeling stuck, you feel like you're out of options. All of a sudden, when you in a world of like 1 million items at a grocery store, 1 million people online dating, for some reason, you feel like you have no more options. There's nothing else out there for you to do. That's not true. Again, that's perception. If you perceive the world as finite possibilities and finite options, of course, you're going to feel stuck because that's your perception. But if you perceive the world as infinite options out there, infinite ways of living your life, infinite challenges and obstacles, but also points of happiness and sadness, then you've changed your perception of how you want to live your life. The world is infinite. It is infinite. There's infinite people for you to meet, infinite experiences, infinite knowledge. And all we need to do is just get a little bit curious. We get a little bit curious about what's out there. It doesn't have to be the right thing for you. You just have to be open to the possibility of exploring something. Open to the possibility of exploring something. Talk about baby steps. Just be open to the possibility of something. That's it. And when you change your mindset in a way of this to this, holy cow, get ready. The universe is going to give you so many signs. It's going to hit you in the face with those signs, and you just got to roll with it. You've really got to roll with it. We can conquer anything. Our minds are so powerful. Have you ever had a time in your life where you didn't think you could actually get through it? Remember that like first heartbreak you had? I remember my first breakup. It was with my high school boyfriend. He was my first love. And when we parted ways after high school, because we went to different colleges, I thought my world had ended. I thought, how could I ever find someone to love again? How could I ever open myself up to someone again? And that's not true. That's not true. I was able to get over that, and we can all conquer these challenges. Open up your mind to seeing something different today. So when you go to work today, see if you can look at something differently at work. Yeah, get curious about something. That's my challenge to all of you. Some of you are probably going to bed soon. Some of you are just starting your day. Even if you're going to bed, think, when I wake up tomorrow, whatever the routine thing I'm going to do in the morning, I'm going to try to observe and discover something new. Maybe it's a new way of walking somewhere. Maybe it's a new color for a building, or a new smell, or a new person. Discover something new and get curious about what that is. That is your challenge for either tomorrow or today if you're starting off your day. There's so many things we don't know. So many things we don't know. And the more you find out about something, the more curious you get about that. And it's contagious. You just get more curious. You want to learn more, get more curious, learn more. And then we accumulate all these skills and all these facts and all this knowledge and all this empathy for other people. And it just makes us evolve more as human beings. And that's what life is about. There is no secret to like the purpose of life. What are you ultimately achieving? Because the purpose of life is to constantly evolve every day. All right. So with that said, I really need to finish up some work. It was really great talking to you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Everything I've learned at all the crossroads in my life. I've had many, and I've had many past lives, and I feel like the evolution of who I am is also very similar to some of the stories I've heard too. So it's always good to share these findings with you guys. And even though I'm a little delirious right now because it's been a long day and it's almost 1 a.m. over here, I still enjoy talking to you guys. And the last thing I always say to you is, I see you and I hear you as a fellow human being. And I respect you for where you are in your journey, and I can only wish the best for all of you. So with that said, good night, everyone, and sweet dreams for anybody going to bed right now.